They knew what they were doing. They wanted to back the system up. They wanted to generate a shit ton of inmates because it is a money-making scheme. So listen, y'all, I spoke a little bit about this in my video titled The Truth About the Virginia Department of Corrections. But what I'm speaking about is, in comments, a lot of people have been talking about how the prisons are going to waste. And I'm seeing on the news, prisons are being shut down and they're just a wasteland here and there. But this isn't the first time this has happened. They had brand new prisons sitting there with the skeleton crew running them on taxpayer money. And there was a prison in the southwestern region of Virginia where they built it, but there weren't enough inmates to fill it. So they ran a skeleton crew for a whole year. They had like 15 people working there on top-notch salaries. They would go around and flush toilets, open doors, just to keep the mechanics from rusting up and all that. So I'm going to tell y'all where this started at. I briefly talked about it in my video I just mentioned, which I'm going to link that in the description for y'all so you can watch that too. We had a prison boom in the United States back in the 1990s. It wasn't just in Virginia. And many states lost parole in their good time earning systems because of one thing that people don't know about, okay? You can read about this in a book called The Real War on Crime. And in it, it talks about the 1993 crime control budget. What happened was the feds told all the states, if you all will abolish parole, we have set aside all these billions of dollars. You all can have as much of it as you need for new prison construction, because they knew abolishing parole was going to cause a backlog of inmates. They knew what they were doing. They wanted to back the system up. They wanted to generate a shit ton of inmates because it is a money-making scheme. That's all it is. It's the prison industrial complex is what it's called. The crack cocaine epidemic ended because they locked everybody up. But after that, they abolished parole. They didn't need to abolish parole, but they did it because they wanted that money. They wanted as much of that billions of dollars that they could get so they could back up all the prisons and overflow them, build more, and have so many inmates that they could make all this money off all these inmates. It was a scheme. In Virginia, George Allen abolished parole in 1994, and the next year, Richmond had its highest murder rate ever. Abolishing parole did not deter crime. Sorry. That is all it was about. Now, prisons changed good time earning systems. Nevada, for an example, they abolished parole or changed theirs, but they had so many inmates backed up in their system that they went back to their original way of good time earning systems. A lot of states have been doing that, or finding ways to give inmates more good time. But it was all a scheme, y'all. It was a scheme. Our leaders made a scheme to back up prisons and make more inmates. Inmates are the raw ingredients for the prison industrial complex. You got all these corporations that feed the prisons. Keefe Corporation, for example, is one of the biggest commissary suppliers. GTL is one of the biggest phone suppliers for prisons, phone services. Aramark is one of the biggest food service for prison systems. Like, it just goes on and on, man. You know, the stuff that they need to take care of inmates is the stuff that companies make money off of. That point blank, that's all I need to say. But it is all back to one thing: the 1993 crime control budget, the federal budget. The crime control budget is just how much money they're going to give each state for their corrections departments to operate and function properly, which none of them do. All the prisons are backed up so bad. All the prisons are so short on staff that they're running up tabs time and a half because COs are having to work 16 hours a day. They're making money, yeah, but the conditions in prison are not safe because of this. But they knew what they were doing when they did this, man. You think they didn't? You go read that book, The Real War on Crime, and you'll find out what I'm talking about. They sat aside all these billions of dollars and they said, y'all, states, y'all abolish parole, man, and y'all can have as much of that money as you want. And that's what happened. I just wanted to speak on that. And in Virginia, we had these prisons they built. They were expecting this overflow of inmates, and they couldn't even fill the prisons up. Red Onion State Prison was a supermax prison, and they had guys there that had nonviolent charges and things like that just to fill the place up. Our DOC director at the time, Ron Angelone, created these guidelines that every year Virginia inmates go up for an annual review. And in that annual review, you get points for this, points for that, points for this, points for that, and it determines your security level. They use that system to fill up Red Onion, and they caused a lot of inmates that didn't need to be there to get hurt and to be mentally challenged with PTSD from sitting in Supermax, and they didn't even need to be there. You know, Supermax is very, very bad, and it's proven. It destroys the brain. All the states wanted to do was make money, generate inmates so they could have all these companies making money so they would be paying taxes to the state. That's all it was about.